righty. Well, Wietse, thank you very much for joining us here. Greatly appreciate it. And thank you everyone for joining us. Yeah, thank you, sir. Let me squeeze up here. All righty. Well, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today on our Fireside Chat. We've got a proud turnout. Very nice. This Fireside Chat will be recorded so that our growing TA community can watch on demand. My name is Ray Fuentes, Link2's Community Director, and today I'm joined by Link2's Director of Member Sales, Nick Virafedo, aka Mr. B. We'll be hosting today's Fireside Chat with our special guest, the world-renowned XRP Ledger Specialist and serial entrepreneur, Wietse Wind. Thank you for joining us again, Wietse. Now, before we begin, I'd like to give a proper introduction for Wietse. As mentioned, he's as passionate for the XRPL as many of us on this call and in our member base. That's why we know that having Wietse on this Fireside Chat will provide great value and insights around this emerging asset class and ecosystem. Now, for those of you who may not be familiar with Wietse, he's a native to the Netherlands, born in 1988, so he's a year younger than me. Wietse's been working on computers since he was 9 years old. In 2002, at age 14, Wietse built his first database-driven web application for one of the biggest Dutch supermarket chains. In 2004, Wietse founded his first company, known today as iPublications, providing a content management system hosting and custom web-based software developments for 100 plus SMBs to large-sized companies. So, but it doesn't stop there. In 2016, Wietse launched another startup, this one called Nodum, a rapid development application platform with a subscription-based business model. This was right around the time Wietse stumbled upon the XRP Ledger. And to no surprise to his inner circle, Wietse began developing and publishing open source code, samples, and tools for the XRP community. By 2019, Wietse founded the XRPL Labs and its flagship product, the XUMM Wallet, which I and many of us on this call use and love. So with that being said, and understanding it's, I believe, 11 p.m. in your neck of the woods, Wietse, let's get down to business. Nick, do you want to fire off the first question, and we'll go back?
Sure, Ray. Yeah, thank you. That'd be great. Wietse has probably recently put the kids to bed, right? So now is his quiet time at home.
I keep on doing that every hour these days. They wake up.
I know. So what I want to ask you was just to kind of lay the foundation. Give us an idea of when you got into blockchain, what drew you to blockchain, and then when did I think it was Spring actually maybe did some funding for you at some point. If you can kind of just give us that overview, that would be great.
Yeah. So like almost all developers in this space, I looked at Bitcoin in the early days, thought it was very interesting. It was also very easy to mine back in the days with my living room iMac instead of a screensaver doing some mining. It was good times. Of course, sold way too early. It doesn't matter. But I looked at it, had some fun with it, thought it was interesting, and went on with my life. That was around the time when I was also really busy bootstrapping my first company. And yeah, too much to do, too little time. So then a lot of nothing in the blockchain space until in 2016, I saw a recording on YouTube from David Schwartz, the CTO of Ripple these days, giving a really passionate talk about a different kind of blockchain based on consensus and how that worked. It was on a technical talk to C++ people, and it was really intriguing. And a couple of the things he said, they triggered me, and it was about the low fees, low transaction times, especially the low transaction times, and an infrastructure, a way you can interact with the nodes that with just standard technologies available in every web browser. So I figured that it was really interesting technology to take what I already liked from Bitcoin from back in the days, but then in something that would work in retail. If you're talking 4-second transaction times, then you're talking retail solutions. And that's when I get really interested in technology, because you need to be able to apply it in real life. Mm-hmm. So on the list, the big list that grows every year with things you want to look into one day. And then we were expecting our first child, and I realized that I had to take it easy, a lot easier. I was still growing the original, the company I originally founded, and I realized that I was going to take time, a lot of time. And I communicated that to my employees, and everybody said it was a great idea. And suddenly I had time, and we didn't have a baby yet. So first thing on the list was look into the XRP ledger. And within 7 minutes after starting to do that, I was connected with my web browser to the XRPL, and I locally signed a transaction, submitted it, and it was there in another account. And that's a developer feel good moment. That's when you realize that it's actually very cool technology, and you can use it for whatever you come up with. So I started to play around, build some libraries, build some tools, and I thought that it was interesting to actually use these features in real life on the web. And there was a very active Reddit and Twitter community, XRPL Twitter and Reddit community, and I built the XRP tip bot. So people could send each other micropayments as a thank you for explaining something, for posting something, for helping on social media. And within 2 years, a couple of million XRP was sent through it. Still a hobby. I was thinking about what's needed in the ecosystem to actually use the XRPL to solve the chicken egg problem, where retail is waiting for the consumers, consumers are waiting for retail. Everybody needs something to interact with this technology and each other. And that's around the time where I realized that the blockchain, it's still like that today. If you look at non-custodial wallets, it's all push payment based, and retail isn't push. And friends going out for dinner and then settling their tab, that's also not push, that's pull. Someone wants something from you. You are in a store, e-commerce, brick and mortar, doesn't really matter. You want their product, but they want a payment from you. They want to pull that payment, or at least have you authorize it. So a wallet is not a wallet without a platform behind it, where retail developers, users, everybody can basically meet up and do something together. And the blockchain is just the payment rails under the hood. Didn't exist in the XRPL space, so I decided to build it, and that's indeed when Ripple X Spring back in the days noticed and asked me if I wanted to keep on doing that even after our child was born. So that gave me the opportunity to come up with this small team and start building.
Wow, that's fantastic. Let me say this too, that I wanted to add to Ray's introduction is, after more than 5 years being in the XRP community, and I really mean this from the deepest part of my heart, Wietse is one of the most respected and trusted, just trusted people in the XRP community, which, people come and go and things happen, but over the years, steady, you have been there, man, and I wanted to thank you for it. And XRP Tipbot was just awesome. I mean, we used it for years. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. So thank you for that too. I mean, that was really a cool thing, and I hope to see another version of it sometime in the future.
Well, there is
Awesome.
one actually today. A community member built one on our platform, and it's an XApp in XUMM today actually being used. It's a little bit less easy to use, of course, because people have to opt in first. And the beauty of the old Tipbot was that you could tip a random stranger.
Yeah, for sure.
It's not coming back. Compliance, regulations.
Oh man. All right. Maybe there's a world someday where it will.
I hope so.
I'm very bummed, guys. I missed that XRP Tipbot world. So I apologize, Wietse, but I didn't miss the XUMM Wallet, which I'd love to hear more about, or we would love to hear more about those developer suite moments that you may have when you built the XUMM Wallet. Can we get a little backstory of XUMM? Yeah,
definitely. So I basically did the intro already about XUMM, why we started to build it. So it's a wallet. A couple of things were necessary, in our opinion, to slowly start addressing the chicken egg problem in the XRPL space, or maybe even some of the broader scope blockchain.
Or if you want to just dive into, we can just shift gears to the pro beta version that that's been recently released for XUMM.
Yeah, so we needed feature completeness. so that developers and everybody can do anything on the XRPL didn't really exist yet. We needed a user-friendly user experience, and I mean, still plenty to do there, but I think it works pretty well these days, and a lot of freedom for developers, because this space is only going to grow if there are also developers building things. So they they are able to build their own X apps, their own mini apps inside XUMM. They're able to integrate with XUMM and interact with users, and that's what we build. And I think we've come a long way, because we are right now onboarding real people in our subscription model with extra features like real-time push notifications. We'll monitor the blockchain. You can be in battery safe mode. We'll notify you anyway. Where people get access to opt-in KYC, because in the future we're going to do some identity things as well. I think blockchain, identity, crypto, non-custodial accounts all belongs together. A lot of opportunities there as well. And 20 hours ago, 21 hours ago, we launched on and off ramp services in the Netherlands, wow. Which of course is pretty pretty cool, considering that we are doing this ourselves. There's no partner. We got a license, and we are doing our own customer due diligence, compliance, AML, everything, which was very exciting, very hard. But we're live in the Netherlands now, and now we're going to expand to other European countries, hopefully with European coverage, and the UK, of course, a lot of clients there. And then,
that's amazing.
And then possibly some Asian countries after that, and that's one of the big pain points when I'm talking chicken egg problem. It's not only users and retailers and everybody. It's money in, money out, and there are plenty of possibilities. But if you want to make it really streamlined for people to really use XUMM and the XRPL underlying as payment rails, on an even payment, loyalty points, NFTs, whatever. If you really want people to be able to use it, getting their funds in, their euros, their dollars, and getting it out in one streamlined user experience, user interface, in that one app, it's mandatory. And this is the first step. So very exciting. If my eyes are very small, I hardly had any sleep last night monitoring everything, but it works.
Congratulations. That's a huge feat. So now that you have on and off banking rails in the Netherlands, does that mean that people can actually buy digital assets on the XUMM Wallet?
Yeah. Okay. They don't once they onboarded, the onboarding happens in XUMM, of course, and it's only available right now for people in the Netherlands and people with a pro subscription. So they get the other features as well. It's 60 euros a year. And then it's all you can eat, and there are no add-on transaction fees or anything on any exchange, and the rates are as good or better as on the big exchanges. So you're thinking Kraken, Bitstamp, everything, liquidity providers, sources all over the world, and we just give those good rates to the end users, because it grows the ecosystem. It's required for whatever we want to do next, and we basically have full saturation in the XRPL ecosystem. Almost all users on the XRPL doing their daily transacting or having fun on the XRPL are using our product. So for us as well, the only way to grow is to either look at other chains, which we're not going to do, because we want to be laser focused at this one technology we believe in, and grow the entire ecosystem we're operating in. So
one other add-on question to that is, will the XRP people who are going to get their Flare tokens be able to put their Flare tokens on the XUMM Wallet? They won't.
Nope.
Okay.
No. So only through the model that works for the XRPL in general, there are IOUs on the XRPL. You can bridge assets to the XRPL, and the well-known parties doing that are GateHub and Bitstamp. You can deposit your BTC, euros, USD, anything to them, and then they can issue that on the XRPL to use. So it's an IOU, and you can also redeem it through them. You can trade it. There's a DEX on the XRPL. You can pay in those assets, in those IOUs. And GateHub did the same thing for Flare and Songbird. So they are IOUs by GateHub, and you can redeem them to their native payment rails, Flare network, Songbird network, through them. But we won't offer native support for Flare in XUMM.
Okay, fair enough. Got it.
Hey, Wietse, to your point about, and congratulations on the on and off ramps. Now, with that being said, and the ability of maintaining all of your, or housing all of your digital assets on XUMM, how would you classify the security in comparison to cold storage versus hot storage? How would you classify the XUMM wallet?
Yes, so that depends on how you use XUMM. We support multiple flavors, and I think there isn't one solution that fits all. It also depends on how you use your wallet and what you are keeping in your wallet. If you are keeping a large balance of XRP or any other asset, it just shouldn't be a hot wallet. But you want to play, you want to pay, so you probably don't have one wallet. You have multiple wallets. It's what we have this joke internally at the office where we call it the Katy Perry hot and cold model, where you just have one cold wallet and then you have one or more hot wallets, and every now and then you swap something from one wallet to the other. But our vision for cold storage is that it should be easy, it should be safe, and the way what we found, we looked in the ecosystem for products around, and there was only one product we really believe in, and that is the Tangem card. It's a hardware card. It's a plastic. It's an NFC card. It's very cheap. It's very secure, and it's very easy to use because you just hold it against the back of your phone, and then the card signs your transactions, and XUMM is your interface to the XRPL, and the card being the signing solution. And you can stash it away in a safe place, or keep it on you if it's for your spending. It's the perfect mix between like a hardware device, a full device, and you probably need another cable to use that as well. So there's always this and a software wallet where it's just less secure, but I do think it's safe to say that we have one of the safest software wallets around, and we like to think we are building the safest software wallet, and we are spending a lot of time doing everything and more we feel is necessary to do that. But we recently hired one of the best security auditing firms for mobile apps, and they are highly specialized in cryptography. And we got a really, really great report back from them with a couple of nice to haves, a couple of improvements to make, but nothing serious. There is no mass exploit to target some wallets on users.
That's great. That's good to hear. One of the things that excites me about blockchain, and I think a lot of our members, we often chat about in our Telegram group, is smart contracts. And at some point over the years, we all kind of been keeping our eyes out and been expecting Codius to poke its head out and actually be something. But I think recently you might have posted that you said Codius is dead. Is it a dead project? And do you see anyone else picking up smart contracts anywhere near the XRPL?
Yeah. So yeah, I think the Codius everybody's talking about is dead, because even if you look at the GitHub repository, the Codius repository, it shows it's archived as read-only, and the activity on the Codius website is non-existent for a couple of years now. So maybe they're working on something without disclosing that yet, and maybe it's going to be called Codius 2 or something, but I don't know about it. And the Codius everybody's talking about, it's not going to happen. But there is a clear use case for smart contracts, and they are lacking on the XRPL. So the way the XRPL implements features is through amendments. They become native features on the XRPL, which is a great decision if you ask me, because it make sure that things are well documented, things are very efficient, and it works the same way for everybody. And there's this whole process of getting the actual technology to the mainnet, voting, consensus. That's all working really well. But there are a couple of things not happening on the XRPL. Some of the creativity you see in other blockchains, because there's this box with Lego blocks, and you can just build whatever you like, whatever you can come up with, you can build it and then test it. So that's missing. What's also missing is yet again something I think is very much necessary to target future retail adoption. And they are things to conditionally deal with transactions into your account or out of your account, or asset management in your account, moving funds between currencies based on your own logic without you having to do that on a layer 2 solution where you have to trust your keys to again. Or think about the things notaries or lawyers do today, where you might not have access to your account anymore. And today with non-custodial wallets, that means that your funds are, I mean, they're still there, but they're basically gone. You can never access them again. I don't think that will fly with future retail adoption. And even if you look at consumers, small spending accounts, loyalty points, collectibles, you cannot tell those people that because they lost this piece of paper, because I don't know, maybe they're in Africa and maybe a solution like a Tangem card is pretty pricey there. So they go with the paper wallet and they lost their piece of paper, or I don't know, the dog ate it. Then, well, yeah, too bad, man. You lost everything. Didn't you configure a backup on Ledger, regular key or multi-site? You cannot sell that. No matter how easy you make it, the user interface, it's just not going to work, and the user experience is going to be horrible because of that. And smart contracts can actually solve these things if a well implemented and well thought through contract interacting with the real world, because all of these things have already been solved in real life with notaries, with lawyers, with multi-signing, with identity verification. Now, if we can blend that into smart contracts and have those two worlds, the new blockchain world and the old world where all these problems have already been addressed, if we can combine that with custom logic on Ledger, I think we have a shot at actual decent retail adoption in the future. So we decided to build that. And my team has been working for over a year on a native smart contract solution for the XRPL. So your own custom logic on Ledger. And we wanted no compromise when it comes to transaction finality time. So 4 seconds is 4 seconds, or 3.9, and no high fee increase or throughput increase. And we managed to do that. And there's an actual working testnet today. And the first developers are building smart contracts and deploying it to the XRPL being our testnet. It's called Hooks. And the next thing is bringing it to more developers with a JavaScript, TypeScript-like syntax, which most developers can work with. And of course, audits, again, bug testing, bug fixing, test cases, more same routine over and over again till we're confident to turn it into an amendment.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Wietse, when you're describing all this is getting us very excited. I mean, we're very, we have a growing affinity with the XRPL, linked to ourselves. We're developing on the XRPL as well. And when you're describing these new improvements to what we know as a proof of consensus protocol, is for other developers that might be developing on different blockchains, also specifically proof of work or proof of stake, do you think that you'll see a migration of developers from those protocols or ecosystems into what we know as proof of consensus?
I don't know about most of them. I don't know if proof of stake, for example, is going to move to consensus or maybe a hybrid. But I do believe, and that's one thing I'm certain about, that proof of work is going to have a lot of trouble in the future, because governments are at some point just going to forbid the waste of energy. And you can have a discussion about if it's wasteful or not, or maybe it's excess energy from solar panels and the grid is already overloaded. Still, it just doesn't look good. It doesn't play right with the climate narrative and everything. I think proof of work is going to have a hard time in the future.
Sounds like you're not holding any more Bitcoin. So piggyback on that, are there any other projects that you're working on that you'd want to share with us and tell us about? Sounds like you're busy.
Yeah, very. I think I addressed all of them already as part of the other topics, but yeah, so we're working on some and retail integrations there, of course, a lot. We're working on the on and off ramps and expanding that. Hooks, smart contracts, major thing, because it's also what we feel is necessary for the next steps with XUMM, with our core, with our flagship product. And at the same time, we're also looking into the non-custodial key recovery problem, where we are actually going to pilot this year. People can actually visit them with a bunch of notaries and lawyers in the Netherlands, where people can get access again to their key, or for example, husband, wife, partner deceased, a horrible situation. But funds are not lost then if you set this up one time. And we're going to pilot this with obviously our smart contract, our hooks testnet, because we need the technology we build. We need the layer 1 smart contracts we build. So we're bringing this all together basically in what we view as the future of the XRPL ecosystem: new technologies, new solutions, collaborations between the real world and the blockchain world.
Yeah.
Is there anything to your point? We see that. Is there anything that on or off chain that we should be paying attention to?
Well, short term, pay attention to whatever is about to happen when XLS 20, the NFT amendment, goes live on the XRPL. It's I don't really know what's going to happen, which is pretty weird, because I'm in the middle of this ecosystem and everybody building on XLS 20, the NFT amendment, is using our platform and using our wallet to interact with their end users. And somehow almost none of the developers, and we know there are many because there are almost 2,000 developers working on our platform building NFT stuff, because we can see that in our database. We know what they're working on, not the code, but they register an app on our platform to be able to interact with the end users. And there's NFT in the name of the project. So 2,000 developers, say 1,000 already abandoned it. We're left with 1,000. Say 500 of them are still actively developing. Say 200 of them are almost ready to show their product. We're weeks away from a potential go live of XLS 20, and we only had 3 or 4 of those projects reaching out to us about visibility in the application, displaying their logo, whatever. So either they're all ready and everybody forgot to tell us, or in a few weeks we might have the amendment and everybody's going to look at the ecosystem and wonder where everybody is, where the minting platforms are and where the projects are. So that's going to be an interesting situation. Now, if everybody actually pulled it off, then I'm going to watch some metrics about infrastructure, bandwidth, hardware resources, stuff like that, because if everybody starts to mint at the same time, it's going to be a challenging time for the infra. I'm pretty sure everything will turn out just fine, but it will be.
Are you concerned with all those NFTs that it would be a spamming of the ledger? Is that a concern or no?
So I think the ledger will handle it just fine. It is the problem is the access to the network. If you run your own node, you will be fine, but nobody runs their own node. So if you look at how people connect to the XRPL, there are basically 2 entry points. There's a cluster Ripple provides, also known as S1 or S2.ripple.com. And there's XRPL Cluster, which is a initiative from the XRP Ledger Foundation. Multiple people contribute infra to it, as do we, because everybody uses that cluster to connect with their XUMM wallet. We feel the obligation, the responsibility to keep that healthy and contribute. And those endpoints are going to be hit hard. And I know we had a peak of 30,000 simultaneous connections in the past. It was about the limit, and we scaled since then, but we never got another real life test. So this might as well be it. Hopefully everybody manages to get in. I mean 30,000 is a lot, but globally, if everybody in the US just starts to mint at the same time zone, it's easy to hit 30K.
Yeah.
Wow.
So before we get into some of these questions, we've got a couple of really great questions. Before we do, I have to ask you this question because you're really an OG in this space. If you knew who Satoshi was, would you tell us?
No.
Would you tell us anyway?
No way, I wouldn't.
So, but do you think you know?
I have no idea.
Really?
No, I really have no idea. I do think that, and this is not, it's not I believe, but it would make sense if it's not just one person.
Yeah.
Someone might be like the front facing person, but there has probably been collaboration and discussions, everything.
Yeah, you know what it takes
that would
to
make
build a
sense.
blockchain. Yeah, you know what it takes. So, I mean, it would definitely sounds like it would take multiple people. Well, I had to ask the question. Ray, you want to go through some of the questions from our guests? Because I think we've got some really good ones.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Hit me.
Thank you, Nick. All righty. I'm going to start from top to bottom. Oh, there's a decent amount. Cool. Okie dokie. Trust lines. Thoughts on the proliferation of so many projects being built on chain? Any deterrences against bad actors?
Yeah, well, that's a tricky one. It's a discussion I have on Twitter almost on a weekly basis, where people say you should block those projects from spamming the ledger, and I'm like, okay, but who's gonna block what, and how, and why? Why can't I mean, this is a permissionless technology. Either we want permissioned or we want permissionless. If we want permissionless, and I think we should want that for a public ledger, for as long as that's possible when it comes to compliance and regulatory landscapes and everything. The way the XRPL addresses this is with fees, and fees or reserves, and there are two, three fees reserves. If you look at the reserves, there's the account reserve. The XRPL has account ownership. It's not like you have inputs and outputs on Bitcoin and you move to a different address for free, basically, except for your transaction fee. XRPL has account ownership, and I think that's very useful because you have an identity on a blockchain. You associate objects and attestations and everything with it. Very useful. Now, an account will set you back 10 XRP. It doesn't really set you back. You cannot spend the 10 XRP, and you can retrieve 8 of it if you decide to delete your account. Anti-spam mechanism. It's just relatively expensive to activate a lot of accounts, because you have to reserve 10 of the XRPs. Then trust lines and other objects like escrows and whatnot, 2 XRP. And then there's the transaction fee, which is just 10 drops will get your transaction in, 12 with some padding, or more if you do computational expensive things like multi-signing and hooks in the future. If that's not enough to block bad actors, then the fee should be raised, which is possible because then someone proposes it and then the validators are going to vote on it. And if everybody agrees, or more than 80% agrees, then you get higher fees and everybody will have to deal with it. The problem is that will not stop bad actors, because the bad actors are at their third rug pull and they have a couple of million to spend and they don't care about the reserve and the transaction fees. So you can raise it to a level where consumers can no longer use the technology because it became too expensive for 70% of the world, and you still didn't stop the scammer. So I don't think it's something that the ledger should solve other than how the ledger addresses it today. I think it's something the user interfaces should solve. If someone is spamming the ledger, we can detect that, run a background service, index the transactions, match them, and in your UI, filter it out and allow people to enable or disable bad actor filtering, basically. Or show a warning and then allow people to show it anyway, things like that. I don't think the solution is to because you'll make the blockchain unusable for everybody without addressing the bad actors problem. So it's a UI problem.
Thank you for that. And thank you for that question, Michael. Here's actually one more question for Mike. He put in quotes, the quote of the day: "We're building smart contract hooks," as quoting yourself, Wietse. Where can Team Apollo learn more about this in the future or expect any news releases?
Yeah, so we published our design decision blogs from years ago to 2 years ago. We published source code and an entire web-based builder, tutorials, technical documentation, everything. It's already there. It's all out there, and you can access it on hooks.xrpl.org.
Well, let's get that again. Hooks.xrpl.org.
Yes.
Thank you, Wietse.
There's a link to the Explorer, to the builder. There's the source code in the footer. You can find more information and the link to a project to a website with the blogs and everything. So
thank you.
Awesome. One more question from Kelly. Is there an opportunity for everyday retail investors to develop apps on XUMM or is
Definitely.
apps? And
yeah.
If so, where can they find those resources and insights?
Yeah, so we have our documentation, our XUMM documentation, xum.readme.io.
Mm-hmm.
And there are a couple of tutorials, there are libraries to use. And if you look at dev.to, well-known developer blog publishing site, and you search for XUMM, you will also find several tutorials in different programming languages from community members who already build on XUMM in all kinds of languages.
A couple of people asked about that card you were talking about. Was it Tandem? Is that what it's called?
It's called Tangem, and we are actually selling our XUMM branded Tangem cards as well. And they come with a couple of firmware tweaks that make the cards even better. And it integrates seamlessly with XUMM, obviously.
Okay, so that all of our people can understand, would it act as cold storage or it would act as a key to making a payment on the spot? How does it act?
Well, it is semi cold storage. So if you activate the card, you get an R address. If you deposit XRP into it and you put the card away, then you have cold storage.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as you want to sign with it, you hold it against your phone. So you initiate the transaction in XUMM, you tap the card against your phone, and then the phone is going to send the transaction info to the card. The card is powered through the NFC antenna, and the card is going to sign it, sends the signature back to your phone, and the phone combines it again. XUMM combines it again to a valid transaction and broadcasts that to the XRPL. Interesting thing is that the key is never outside the card. The key is even generated in the card because there's a true random number generator inside of the card. The chip in the card generates the key, the chip in the card signs the key, and the key is non-extractable. So It's a pretty cool solution. It's the combination of cold, if you want it to be cold, and usable if you actually want to sign transactions with it.
And people can find it on your website?
Yeah, XRPL Labs .com/tangem, or just in the app. If you let me find it. It's in the shortlist. If you here's my phone. Oh. I don't know. If you just tap the XUMM home button,
yeah,
there's an icon here. Get Tangem cards.
Okay.
And we'll ship them to your doorstep in 2 days around the world.
Fantastic.
Oh wow, excellent. Well, I have no further questions, and it looks like we actually there is one more question that came in through the chat. Gus, thank you very much for your input, sir. Do upgrades on the XRPL ever affect the ODL corridors? Do you have to stop, adjust them in any way?
So no, unless if there's a change being voted in and activating that actually changes the protocol to a degree where implementations will have to be changed. I cannot see that ever happening because I know too many people who would never vote for that because it's going to be an insane mess. It's already problematic. So if you every version, every release of RippleD, the node implementation, ships with features, changes. As long as the protocol stays the same, as long as that needs consensus stays the same, you can always just upgrade and no votes are necessary. If code is introduced in a version that changes the ledger, the logic, the things it needs to reach consensus on, and that becomes active, that automatically means that everybody who doesn't have that version installed can no longer participate in consensus because they will vote on something else than the rest of the network is voting on. So everybody's very, very careful and considerate when it comes to even voting on certain amendments. So right now there are a couple of amendments that are perfectly fine. They're tested, they can go live, and still people are holding back their votes, not because they don't want it live, not because they don't believe it's ready for prime time, but because too many nodes haven't upgraded yet, which would mean too many nodes get amendment blocked. So that's one of those scenarios where indeed ODL corridors could be affected, because if they, for example, use RippleD nodes that haven't been upgraded and the network moves to a version where features are active, changing consensus or changing what consensus is reached on, yeah, then they will have a problem. But that's on them. Then they should have updated their nodes. They should participate in the ecosystem and see that there are new versions and monitor what's going on. But every time when amendments go live, we have a very, very busy week at support. One of the things we're anal about, by the way, good end user support. Reply within an hour, no matter your time zone. But if something doesn't work, it's usually elsewhere, or it's almost always elsewhere. It's the exchange not processing a deposit. It's the exchange not processing a withdrawal. It's the exchange requiring a destination tag while you don't need one on a non-custodial wallet. It's the exchange not updating their nodes. So pretty sure if XLS20, for example, goes live, any amendment will have a very busy week because everybody's going to complain that their transactions from or to their exchange don't work. And then it turns out the exchange didn't upgrade their node.
Interesting.
So
if that exchange is an ODL partner, then yes, it will affect all their XRPL interactions.
Well, it's good to know that you are constantly upgrading your nodes and taking that part of the back-end customer service very seriously. So that's why we do business with you, or me personally. Excellent. Well, Wietse, it's been an absolute pleasure, sir. Your time and expertise and contributions to the community are greatly appreciated. We look forward to having you back on TA, a fireside chat very soon. I mean, maybe we can even get David Schwartz on and you guys can play chess and we'll see who wins. But thank you again for attending our fire chat today for TA, and thank you TA for also participating and trusting Link2 with your investments. We couldn't do this without you. So appreciate you all. See you next time.
Thank you,
Wietse. See you
Wietse.
tomorrow. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you. Have a good evening. Thank you, everyone.